Oh, there's somebody up there, look. Who's that?
3 from Maryland, Whiskey X-ray 3 Bravo.
Somebody loud there. Mike 7 Whiskey Lima Oscar.
Yes, my call sign is Whiskey X-ray 3 Bravo. Whiskey X-ray 3 Bravo. My name is Jim, Juliet India Mike, and I'm in Maryland, Mike Delta. Papa Delta 1, Echo Sugar Bravo 73, and have a good Sunday.
Mike 7 Whiskey Lima Oscar.
73, Mike 7 Whiskey Lima Oscar. Good morning. You're 5 and 9 plus 10. Big signal here in Maryland. Name is Jim.
Yeah, hey Jim. Good to catch you. First time receive, I think. You're really pushing out the poundage now. Is it really good propagation, or have you got a few extra whiskies?
It's probably I don't know the answer to that yet. I am running a lot of power. I'm running 1,400 watts right now. But I think the band has sprung back to life after being kind of down yesterday. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think there might be a little bit more to that though, mate. Honestly, you sound like one of the you sound like that guy that pushes the Super Bowl out on 27 megahertz. Over.
I don't know whether that's a compliment or a slam, but I'm going to take it as a compliment. Anyway, thanks. Yes, the 27 megahertz band was certainly wide open yesterday, long after the 10 meter band was empty, leading me to believe that there were just not people on 10 meters, even though it was wide open. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when I'm on the UKCB, we have sideband as everyone does, and on 27.250, there's a guy that whenever Super Bowl is on, is basically on 27.250 blasting out. I don't even want to know the figure that he's using, but I'd imagine he's got a spare building next door to his house that's containing the linear. Over.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Well, you're talking to a CB operator. I have let's see. Do I have it? Yeah, I have one CB radio left, which I haven't used in years. But when I was a kid, which is a long time ago, it was a ball. It's, back when I was young, the truck drivers used to use them all the time and stuff like that. And then my dad bought me a couple of radios, and that's what got me started in the ham radio. I also know some other people in the UK that are what I'll call bilingual. They're both hams and CBers, and they use the CB radio as a recruitment tool for ham radio.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, CB's not very big in the UK anymore, hasn't been for a while, because we were never given AM, not legally. We were never given AM. We say legally. I mean, many of us had it, many of us used it, many of us kept our mouth shut. But yeah, we don't have AM. So as you can imagine, our distance on FM on 27 megahertz was kind of limited to about 7 or 8 miles, unless you're pushing a few extra whiskies, and then, you were lucky if you got 15, 16 miles. But, we had the unfortunate thing of here that we have Super Bowl guy that comes in on AM and bleeds all over our FM on Super Bowl days. So we always know when Super Bowl's in because he's coming in over the top of some of our UK channels. Over.
It was interesting. Yesterday, I noticed this broadband hash, which at first I thought was power line noise, but I don't have much power line noise here. And then I realized that it was probably somebody from 11 meters that had a bloody signal, and I couldn't find them on my band scope, so I widened it. I still couldn't see them, but I suspect that was your friend.
Yeah, he's well. I'm not sure that's a good description, but yes, it certainly sounds like him. There's a lot. There's a lot still, like you say. They get the introduction. Certainly, I got the introduction was from doing a bit of 27 megahertz sideband, and I still have friends on there that I talk to daily. So I pop on and try and make an appearance for half an hour, just so that we don't forget about the unfortunates, that don't have the license for the other bands. But it's kind of nice, to be honest, because the social circle on CB now is small, and I'm not sure if nice is a good description, but you don't have the same everyone fighting for channels or the pretentious plonkers on there with their noisemakers and people keying up, because there's just not enough people there to do it, so we just treat it like a WhatsApp group. Over.
Yeah, okay, I think you're Andy. I looked you up to get your name, and I'm Jim. I have my wife, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, when she bought, actually it was more than that, this was 8 years ago, she bought a Jeep, and she wanted a CB radio for it so she could talk to fellow Jeepers. And I put it in my car, and we drove up and down Route 95, which is a major northeast corridor. and there was nobody on. I mean, if you called trucks by their vehicle description, they would answer you, but nobody was on the radio. And she goes, "What happened to CB radio?" I said, "Well, unless the band is open, it sounds like there's nobody using it anymore."
Yeah, I do the same. I mean, I do a journey twice a week to Bristol, which is about a 35-mile drive, and I go up and down the motorway for that. And you don't get much of a call out. And I think it's a lot of it's down to the fact that, you know, when we first had CB, we didn't have Wi-Fi, we didn't have phones, you know, to the level we've got now, and all of that noise, you know, on the band basically killed the CB, you know. I mean, and the fact that you could do pretty much everything the same on a mobile phone. I mean, but you know, there's just something primeval, isn't there, about having a radio and being able to talk to people. And the thing is that I'd never speak to you, Jim. You know, you're in America. I would never sort of like get on Facebook and think, oh, he looks like a nice bloke to talk to. He's got his phone number posted there. I'll just give him a shout. Over.
When internet phone came out, 15-20 years ago, I was fascinated by it, and I actually used it the way I used the radio. But the thing is, it was
I think you can still use it, can't you? You've got Vox, haven't you?
You clicked on somebody to talk to, and that took all the fun out of it for me.
Yeah, definitely. I remember it kind of all started dying with MSN. You remember MSN? I'm sure you do. You know, but you know, MSN was back in the day when you could approach a woman online and talk to her and not get called a creep until they realised that they could call you a creep online and get away with it. And now all men are creeps, and no men dare talk to women. So here we are, men talking to men.
This is such a male-dominated hobby, except for the few small percentage of females that get into it, and it's always been that way. My wife,
yeah, we'll do. Tastes Irish.
In a great while during the contests and makes a few contacts, but you know, it's very rare to find the few wiles that are into the radio. So I don't know how long you've been licensed, Andy. You sound like you're at least 20 years younger than me. I'm 65. When I was 7 years old, my grandfather bought me a transistor radio, and that's what started the whole ball rolling.
Well, I'm only 10 years younger than you, and I've had my license for, I'm sure somebody will tell me on here now, but it's probably about 5 weeks, I think. So I'm not very long. And like I say, I was on the I was doing the sideband before, but I've been listening on the channels for a lot longer. You know, I've had the radio for listening for a little while, and I use scanners quite a lot and listen on the scanners. But I don't treat this any different than I treat the CB. You know, I treat the 11 meters the same as any other band. I like to go on and find somebody that doesn't sound like a sad ham. Over.
A lot of my contacts, if the band must be quiet today. I do enjoy running stations almost contest style, but when the band is quiet like today, it's great to have a chat with somebody. By the way, if you've only been licensed a few weeks, so you've got a couple of interesting observations. First of all, you sound like you've been licensed for about 50 years, and you're obviously comfortable in the social circles, at least on the radio, because you have a gift and a high quality voice. But somehow, I don't know if it's the same way in the UK as in the US, but all the 11-meter lingo and comments that are, the slang that you might have learned there, somehow you've managed to drop it on this band. Go ahead.
Well, that's a 10-4. I understand where you're coming from. And I mean, if you can tell me you're 20, then we can talk about, just hang time and later.
You need to add a few by gollies, mercy sakes, and treetop tall and a few things. I don't know if it's a global expression, but I won't forget my first contact in Germany when I was using a CB radio on 11 meters. That was.
I work in support, don't I? Yeah, I think the thing is, oh God, how have I just literally forgotten your name in the 5 seconds I tried to remember it? Jim, that was right, wasn't it? I work in support. I work in IT support, and I'm used to dealing with and talking to people of all levels. So I think I'm pretty down to earth and confident in having the conversation, And I appreciate where the rest of the descriptives of people on ham radio might come from, because I've met some of them. I've been to radio clubs. I'm aware of the people that attend them. They are the rule rather than the exception, unfortunately. And then you go to these radio clubs trying to find someone to talk to that's the exception rather than the rule. Over.
Not becoming extinct in like 30 years from now. The bands are going to be super quiet. But there are some up-and-coming youngsters that are in my circle of friends that are into this competition aspect of the hobby, almost like the way they video game, and maybe they'll be able to bring some of their friends into it. It's really hard to describe the allure of radio do the same thing with complete reliability, but there's definitely something magical about it. By the way, the band is definitely squirrely. I've watched your signal go up and down, but you've been 10 to 15 over 9 on your peaks. Are you running a decent antenna or something? Because you're very loud.
I'm running my 11-meter CB Tornado antenna over, but no, sorry, not over. The band's squirrely down my end. I was expecting you to drop out at some point, but you've hung on in there, so that's good. No, I think the thing is that the sad hams need to get off the radio. Okay, they need to stop policing. They need to let it migrate and move and step with the times if we're to maintain people coming into it. You know, I like to think of myself as a young 55, and there were a lot of people on the bands that still do put me off of it. You know, and if it wasn't for the DX in, I probably wouldn't be on here. You know, but certainly from a local perspective, trying to find somebody that isn't a sad ham, especially on the repeaters, is really quite difficult. And they need to drop off, and I don't mean that in a horrible way. I just mean, you know, once we start getting younger blood into the hobby, it'll be easier to push the hobby back up again, because at the moment there are too many people that do things the old way and expect everybody to do it their way, and it's quite frustrating. Yeah.
Mike 7 Whiskey Lima Oscar from WX3B. By the way, another welcome, a warm welcome to the bands. Only a Central League veteran, and so much to share, and such good stage presence and a great sounding station. It's really a pleasure, Andy. But you know, unfortunately, Mother Nature has got a nasty way of taking care of this problem, and we have a few more years of really good 10-meter propagation to get people on this band, which is probably the most fun band for a new person to be on, and then get them off the repeaters so they can get hooked on radio.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I don't know. I mean, from what I read, it's normally a 3-year cycle. But, you know, like I say, I'm 7 weeks in. So what do I know? But I know I heard it last year on sideband a bit, on, you know, certainly coming through on the scanners. And then this year I heard it quite a lot. But I was told that this year was peak year, and then we're down again next year. Is that right?
Well, I'm not an expert on this. I do know an expert, and I watch this forecast, and it looks like this year is probably going to be the peak. But sometimes you can have a second year that's almost as good, and sometimes there's a trough and another peak, or another peak that's not quite as good. I think you're going to be able to have worldwide communications on 10 at some level for another couple of years past this year, and then it's going to start to go down after that. And even after it goes down, you just don't have the openings over the northern hemisphere here as well. And then there's some other, you know, hopefully enough people get on 10 meters that get interested in it, that they can then get on 15 and 20 when 10 dies.
Yeah, that would be good. It certainly would be good. I actually stream on TikTok. I should have mentioned it at the beginning, but some people get upset about it. And then, you know, my forethought, what I tend to say is that, well, you know, people are listening to you on the radio. Does it really matter that they're listening to you on the internet? And that's what I mean about the sad hams. There's a few of our local radio club that got a bit upset that I was having conversations, you know, over the internet at the same time. And you're like, yeah, people are all over listening. There's probably 5 or 6 people listening here right now. Yeah. So, yeah, if you ever want to see my broadcast, you know, you can search on me on YouTube or on TikTok under my call sign. And I'm generally live at the same time as I'm on the radio. But I apologise for not telling you earlier. But you've been live to, how many viewers today? It's about 11 on today, so it's not a massive amount of people. Over.
Yeah, well, thanks for putting me on TikTok. I appreciate that. I'm going to look that up and put a link on my Facebook page to it if I can find it. If anybody is transmitting at any time, assume that lots of people are listening over any media, and I try to myself in that my worst enemy wouldn't be offended. So, yeah, that's great. Well, you know, you sound like just the kind of person we need to try to recruit some of the youngsters into this hobby, Andy. And it's
cheers, Dave. Sorry, mate.
The portable station, go ahead.
Time window, is it about 1:20 we started talking to this guy? I'm going to put this one up on TikTok later.
Okay, do you have a call sign? Mike 7 Whiskey Lima Oscar. Yeah, you're 5 and 7 to 5 and 8 here. Good audio, nice sounding station. Go ahead.
I should have turned the Moxham on him, shouldn't I? Should have turned the Moxham. I don't even know. The Moxham's not even accurate now because I tried tuning it. I tried turning it round and it's not
Okay, good job.
showing the right direction anymore.
Set up 73 from Maryland. And back over to Andy, Mike 7 Whiskey Lima Oscar from WX3B.
Yeah, Jim, I couldn't hear the other station, to be honest, so I'm guessing he's one other direction from you. I was going to try and push the Moxham over your direction, but I realised I messed that up earlier this morning, and now the rotator doesn't tell me where it's actually pointing, so I'd have to go and guess in the sky. But it's been really good to talk to you again, James. It'd be really nice if I happened to run into you again. I would imagine with the power you're pushing out, hopefully we'll get a bit of the propagation the same, and you've certainly got a distinctive voice. So, if you hear me on at all, or you hear me shouting, do shout me back. I tend to frequent 7 and 10 metres, most common at the moment, depending where it is. I mean, we tend to find that 10 metres doesn't start picking up here until about midday UK time. So, if I go first thing in the morning, it's quite quiet. But yeah, great copy, and really nice to chat to you. And you certainly sound like the sort of guy that isn't a sad ham. So, yeah, congratulations on that one.
You up and find your YouTube channel. Now I know where your stage presence comes from. 73, and I look forward to our next contact, Andy, from WX3B.
Yeah, cheers, WX3B. Mike 7 Whiskey Lima Oscar out over 73s. Right, so that was a good one. I'm gonna put that up on the channel later. That was a nice radio. But look how much noise is on this band, though. Look at those static lines. Can you see them? I swear that's next door's washing machine or something. I need to find out what it is, because remember the other day I had that on here and I spent ages looking for it, and then an hour and a half later it had gone. So I have no idea what that is. I'm not even sure who's still on here. Is there anyone still on here? I see a few people. Oh, God, it's so difficult to work out who's here. Chisel, Paul, Callum. Callum's hung in there, look. Callum has hung in there. And Fatima. Welcome, Fatima. But on that note, I'm now going to take this opportunity to get onto TikTok, extract this video at 1:20, and then post that. And then I'm going to go and go for a walk with the DOGSs. So I shall catch you all later. And it's quite nice now, because now I can actually click end live and it comes up straight away, having a good machine. So I'll see you all later. Later.